Okay, so quiz forms, what it does, it empowers non-technical end users to easily create no-code dynamic forms in minutes. Uh, One important thing to mention about the product, it's 100% SharePoint native, so it seamlessly integrates with your SharePoint environment, and we'll see this very shortly. So the product works for SharePoint Online, SharePoint 2019, Microsoft Teams, and if you're using older version of SharePoint on premises, we do have a product for that as well. Another important thing to mention is all QuizCom products, including quiz forms, are client-side apps. So these are SharePoint hosted apps. They're not provider-hosted apps. And what this means is that your data is 100% safe and secure with us. So your data never leaves your tenant. And this is the reason that many government organizations have chosen to work with Quiz, simply because your data is 100% safe with us. Another important thing to mention, the product is fully web and mobile responsive, so you do not need to have two separate designs for your handheld and your handheld devices and your desktop. And as mentioned, if you are using Microsoft Teams, you can simply display your forms in Teams. That's it. Let's just start the live demo. Okay, so this is my SharePoint Online test environment, and I have a sales leads form here. Let's take a quick look at my form. This is, what I've created this by using out-of-the-box SharePoint, right? It has about 20 fields. Some are about the account, some are about the customer, some are about the product, etc. Currently, it looks very boring, long, not interesting. So in the next 30 minutes, I'll be using some of Quiz Forms features to make this form dynamic, smart, and great looking. So let's start. First, what I'd like to do is I would like to make some fields dynamic. So in other words, I want to show or hide certain fields based on selections in other fields. So specifically, I have here product and quantity fields. I want to show both these fields only if the selected lead type is product license. So basically, if my user comes here and selects product license, only in this case, I want to show the product and quantity field. If any other option is selected, I want to hide both the product and quantity fields, simply because these fields are not relevant. Okay, so let's go to the quiz forms settings page, and I have another window open so I can easily switch between the tabs. So I'm clicking on quiz apps here, and now we will see a rich a variety of features here. So I'm going to start with dynamic column permissions. This allows me to dynamically show, hide, or disable fields. Okay, so let's select our field. So first, we're selecting product field. Now, what do I want to do? I'm clicking create new rule. So I want to hide the field, and I'm selecting in the new item form, edit item form, view item form. So I want to hide the product field, and I don't want to hide it all the time. I'm adding a condition. Let's hide it when the selected lead type is not equal to product license. Let's click apply. And I'm going to do similar thing for the quantity field. Again, I'm adding a new rule. I want to hide the quantity field in all the list forms. And I'm adding a condition. So I want to hide it when the selected lead type is not equal to product license. Perfect. And by the way, here you can add multiple conditions with an or operator, but for my scenario, I want to have only one condition. So let's click apply. Now let's go back, refresh our form, and let's see the changes we've just made. Okay, so currently let's select product license. Right away, I see product and quantity fields are displayed. Let's select something else and see both fields are hidden. Now, we can also hide columns in a list view. So for example, maybe I want to hide the price column from all the members of other departments. Only I want to show it to sales team members, right? We can also disable from editing in grid view. So currently I can edit anything I'd like here, right? But maybe I want to disable editing in grid view depending on who the current user is. Okay, so let's do the following. Let's quickly disable price column, so this one, depending on who the current user is. So let's come here, and this is still the same feature I'm using. I'm going to select price, that field. Now let's add a new rule. So what do I want to do? I want to disable it, where in list views, and I don't want to do that all the time. I'm adding a condition. So I want to disable it when current user. So here you have many options here. You can say in and then type, for example, select people from Sarah members, owners, for example, or not in, you can say contains. So for simplicity, let's select. So we want to disable it when current user is not equal to Sarah. Let's do that. Okay, I'll click save. Now let's go back, refresh that. So currently I'm signed in as Sarah. So this means I will still be able to edit it in grid view. It's the price column. Let's see. See, currently I can edit it. Perfect. So now I have another browser open here and I'm signed in as QA1 user. I'm going to refresh my page. So here you can see I'm signed in as QA1 user. Now let's edit in grid view and go to that column, price. See, it tells me the cell is red only. Okay, so next, let's talk about dynamic field validation. Now, out of the box SharePoint has its own field validation, but it only has two options. That field is either mandatory or it is not. And you cannot say, I want this field mandatory only when something happens. So let me show you a simple example of dynamic field validation. Here at the bottom, I have upsell amount and upsell details fields. So I want to validate both these fields as required, but I want to do this dynamically only when the user selects the upsell box. This is when I want to ensure upsell amount and upsell details fields are required. So let's do it. We will come back to our settings page, and this time I'm going to select field constraints option. Okay, so let's select our fields. So first we'll start with upsell amount. And here already everything looks a bit familiar to us. Let's add a new rule. Okay, so what do I want to do? I want to ensure upsell amount field is required, right? So this means not empty. Here you can customize your error message. I'll leave it as it is. Looks great to me. Now, I don't want to make this required all the time. I'm adding a condition. So I want to ensure the upsell amount is not empty, in other words, required, when upsell is equal to a checked box. Let's click apply. And I'm going to do exactly the same for the upsell details field. So I want to ensure the field is not empty. And I'm adding a condition when upsell is equal to a checked box. Perfect. So let's go back, refresh our page. Now, what I'm going to do next, I'm going to fill out this form and save it. And I'll only fill out the required fields here, so not to spend much time. Now, currently, let's select this, and right away we see both these fields became required. So now I'm going to try and save this form without filling out information, provide information for the upsell amount and upsell details fields. And as expected, I'm getting the validation error message advising me to provide information for both these fields. Okay, so now let's try and save it one more time. And this time, seems like I was successfully able to save my form. Now let's go back into our form. I want to tell you one more thing about field validation. And I'm not sure if you've noticed here, I have email address field and I did not provide a valid email address here. I simply wrote Sarah, this is not an email address. So what I want to do next, I want to ensure that all my users provide a valid email address that matches a certain pattern. So I can validate this field with the appropriate pattern. Let's do it. And it can be email address, can be telephone number, can be postal code, anything you'd like. So let's do it. I'm still here in our field constraints field a feature. So let's select email address field. Okay, so I'm adding a new rule. And here we have the very last one is called matches pattern. Now we have many ready-to-use patterns here, whether it's a decimal number, date format, IP address, telephone number, right? You can edit the expressions, or you can even create your own here. So for our webinar today, I'll be selecting email address, and here I'm going to write a custom error message. Please provide a valid email address. You can continue saying that matches this kind of pattern. I don't want to add any conditions. That's it. I'm clicking the save button. Now let's refresh our form. And I'm going to try and save this form one more time with the invalid email address. Let's see what happens. And again, as expected, it's telling me to provide a valid email address. Okay, so here we have a correct email address, sarah@quizcom.com. Let's click save. Okay, perfect. So this time I was successfully able to save my form. Now, next, let's see how we can improve the layout of our form. So currently we have this long form. You keep scrolling it down. It doesn't look great. Maybe what I want to do is I want to divide my form into groups. So let's say I want to have 3 tabs. Each tab will display the relevant information. Maybe one tab would be for account information. Second one would be lead information. The third one may be about upsell. And this way you can only choose what you would like to see. Okay, let's do it. So we'll go back to quiz settings page, and this time I'm going to select form layout feature. Okay, so first we can display this as collapsible groups or accordion layout, we also call it, or you can display as tabs. So let's go with the tabs for this webinar. Now I'm going to create my groups of fields now. And here I'm going to create the first one, and I'm going to give it a name. So the first one is going to include account information. So let's name it account details. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to add rows and fields. So in the out of the box SharePoint, you usually have 1 field per row, but you know, here I can have 2. Maybe I want to have 3 or as many as I'd like. And I can resize my fields to make them bigger or smaller. So I can do whatever I'd like here. Okay, let's have 2 fields in a row, and this is account details. So let's select now the columns that we would like to display here. Okay, since it's account group, let's select to display here title, then account maybe. Let's add 1 more row with 2 fields in here. And then now we'll select account, contact, and maybe also let's display email address. Perfect. So I'm clicking on the apply button, and now I'm going to create our second group of fields or tab. So this one will display lead information. So let's name it lead details. And once again, I'm adding some fields to display here. So since it's the lead details, let's select lead type. Maybe let's select due date. And let's add, of course, product, which is important. Let's select another field, quantity, let's display here. And one last row I'm adding with 2 fields in here. And here we'll display the price and maybe the status. Now, one more thing here I would like to show you. You can also add some HTML elements such as a horizontal line, text cell, a button, and a text cell is a rich text editor. So I just want to show you here quickly. You can pretty much add whatever you'd like here, like your company logos, images, etc. Make the text visually very appealing. Okay, so we don't need this for today. I'll just delete that. I'm going to click on the save apply button. Now let's add our last tab. This one will display upsell information. So I'm going to call it upsell details. And I'll add a row here, and this one will display the upsell field here. And I want to make this capture the entire row, so I'm going to leave it like this. And the last row with two fields, we'll select upsell amount and upsell details. That's it. Okay. Now let's take a step further, and this last tab that you see here, let's not show it to every user. Let's add a condition depending on who the current user is. So I'm going to add a condition, and I'll select current user. Again, you can select here whatever you'd like. Let's make it simple for this webinar, and let's show this tab, this group of fields, when current user is Sarah. Okay, let's click save. Okay, so let's come back, refresh our page, and see our multi-tab and multi-row form. Okay, so currently I have 3 tabs. Each tab displays its own information. And of course, everything is dynamic, just as we've configured it earlier. Now the selected tab is red, the non-selecting tabs are blue, and if I hover over a tab, it is light gray simply because I configured it this way. And if you are curious to know how you can change the colors of the tabs, I can quickly show you here. See sample styles. Here you can put the RGB code, or you can simply type the color name. And you can do a lot of other things here, like limit column maximum width, etc. Okay. Okay, so currently I'm signed in as Sarah. This is the reason I see all 3 tabs. But let's go back where I'm signed in as QA1 user. I'm going to refresh this page. And now I should see only 2 columns. So let's open our form. See, only 2 columns. I don't see the upsell information tab, simply because I'm not signed in as Sarah. Okay, so what else can we do? Now let's talk about cascaded fields. So here I have account contacts, right? So currently it displays all the account contacts that I have. See, several pages I have. But what if I want to display only the contacts of the selected account? So for example, if I select account Delta, I want to show only customers who belong to that account. And I need to mention here that both account and account contacts are 2 regular lookup columns. So there's no connection between them. There is no filtering. And let me show you account field is a lookup column to the customers list. I'll quickly open this to show it to you. And account contact field is a lookup column to customer contact list. And this is how it looks like. Okay, so as mentioned, I want to filter the account contact field by the selected account. Let's do it. So this time we are going to select cascaded lookup field. So this feature. Now I'm going to select account contact. And now one of the benefits, advantages of quiz cascading lookup is that it is cross-site. So unlike the out-of-the-box lookup, you can connect to remote lists that are not on the same site. So I'll select the site I want to get the data from. Next, I'll select the target list. Now, if you have multiple views, you can select your desired view. I don't have, so I'll leave it as all items. And next, I want to apply some filtering. So, and I want to filter by the selected account. And then when this equals to company name. I'm selecting the box, checkbox, allow multiple values and allow users to add new item. We will see how this looks. And let's write here, create a new item. Okay, looks good. So let's save it. Let's go back, refresh our page. Okay, so currently, do you see this is grayed out? It's simply because I haven't selected my account. So let's select an account. And right away, I see the contact that belongs to the selected account. Let's select another account, Digifence. I have here multiple contacts. Remember, we allowed to select multiple. This is what it allows us to do. Now, another thing is here I have a search filter. So it's enough for me to type a letter or two, and I can easily find the account that I'm looking for. So this is really useful feature when you have a large inventory of items. Another thing here, I can create a new item right from here. I don't need to leave this form and go to that lookup field. I can do it right from this form. Okay, so last but not least, let's create a simple workflow. Every time a new sales lead is created. So every time any user comes here and creates a new sales lead, I want to send an automated email with the lead, with the information of that lead. Let's do it. So I'll come back here to our settings page, and I will need several features this time. So activities, custom actions, and here at the bottom, we have scheduled actions. This is a recent release. We published it last year. So I'm going to talk first about this first two features. Activities. So what are activities? Activities are reusable tasks. And each activity does a single specific thing. So for example, create an item, move an item, delete an item, send an email, and etc. Many other things. Uh, and custom actions includes a series of activities that allow you to implement your desired workflow. So let's create an activity together. So I'll click on the plus sign to create an activity. Okay, so activity type, see, as I mentioned, you can do many things with this. So for our webinar, we're going to send an automated email. So we'll give this a name. This is just for our information. Send an email. And description, again, this is for you. Let's write send an email each time a new lead is created. And then let's go to the properties. Now recipients, who are the people that should be receiving these emails? You can, of course, write your hard-coded emails here. You can insert dynamic tokens, variables. You can select from list columns, site groups. For simplicity, let's choose a current user. In this case, it will be me. Do you want any people to receive a copy of this email? Do you want people to receive blind copy of this email? I'll leave them blank. Now from address, so you can have here your desired email address, let's say sarah@quizcom.com, but I'll leave it blank, so it will use the default email address. Same here from display name, for example, from Quiz Corporation or Quiz Team. Again, I'll leave it blank, so it will use the default settings. Subject, let's say new sales lead has been created. And body, this is actually going to be the email. So let's say a new sales lead has been created. Now let's choose some fields to display. So account, and here I'm going to select some fields, so account. What else? Account contact, maybe. What else? Product. And let's also display price. That's it. Now, again, this is a rich text editor. You can do whatever you would like. You can have some nice images, colors, make it as nice as you would like. I won't be doing that, not to spend much time here. Okay, so I think it looks good. Let's just write here quiz theme. I think it looks good. Let's click save. Now we will, and you can add as many activities as you would like. So we will leave it simple, just one activity. Now let's create our custom action. So I'll create a new action. Now here, you can either have an automated action or you can have a user action. So what a user action is, when a user clicks on a button. So for our scenario, we would like an automated action, right? Each time a new item is created, each time a new lead is created, I want an automated email to be sent. And I will run it on item added. So I don't want an email to be sent when an item is deleted or updated. I want to send an automated email only when a new item is added. Okay, again, name, send an email, or actually name, we would write a new lead created. Let's write and send an email each time a new lead is created. Okay, ensure this is enabled. Activities. Okay, so this is where we are going to select our activity. In this case, we only have one, but again, you can create as many as you would like. You can make your workflow as complex as you would like. You can even add activity groups. This looks good. Now you can also add conditions, and let's add a simple condition. Let's add send automated email each time a new lead is created and when the price, let's say, is greater than, let's say, $1,000. Okay, that's it. I'm clicking save. Now let me refresh this page, and what I'm going to do is now we need to create a new sales lead, right, to see the workflow. Okay, let's say quiz forms webinar. Let's select an account contact, email address. I need to write this, otherwise it won't let me proceed, and it has to be a correct email address. Okay, lead information, product license. Let's select product quiz forms. Price. If you remember, we have a condition here. The price has to be over $1,000 for my workflow to send an automated email. So we'll write 1,400. I think it's good. That's it. We'll save it. We don't need to do anything else. Now, usually, typically, this takes only a few seconds most of the time for your email to receive. And while we're waiting for this email, let's go back to our settings page. There was one more feature that I mentioned. I wanted to tell you a little bit about this. So it's called scheduled actions. So basically what it does, it allows you to implement your required workflow triggered on a schedule. So let's click the plus sign, new action. Okay, so here, what you can do is you can run your workflow on specific days at specific times. You can run it every day at specific times or run every few hours. You can select here the date and then, of course, time. And then when we go to the next step, activities, it looks very familiar already. Here you are adding your desired activities or even activity group. And of course, you can add conditions or multiple conditions. Okay, so this pretty much completes my demonstration today. Of course, I want one thing to mention is that what I've shown you today is just only a few features of quiz forms. Quiz forms is rich in many, many features. And if you're interested to see other features, please feel free to contact me. We will be doing a personalized demo for you to show you to address your exact requirements. Okay, so I haven't forgotten. Let's go check the emails. Let's see. Okay, so we have an earlier email notification from here. I actually did this test just before I started the webinar. So basically what happens, sometimes it may take up to a few minutes for the email to arrive. Now it's time to take some questions. Let's take some questions. And if you have any questions, please submit them now. We'll be more than happy to address all your questions. Mira, if you don't mind, if you can share the final slides, so also we would share my contact information in case anybody has any questions or they would like a personalized demo. I'm here for you. I can show you other features of quiz forms. Again, I barely touched the surface of what quiz forms can do for you. Even the features that I've shown you, these are just some basic requirements. You can do a lot more with even those features that I've shown you. Okay, let's see if we have any questions. I see some questions here. Let's see. And by the way, we're using Teams platform for the webinar. This is the first time, so please excuse us if we're a bit slow here. We used some other platforms before. Okay, so there is one question from George. Peter, would you like to address that question? I can read it aloud. Okay, George is asking if can you do any autofill? For example, you enter an email and then looks up from Azure Active Directory, their manager, department, title. And I think you can do that, but I'll let Peter address that question.
Yeah, so picking up on that question, George, one of the columns I don't think we demonstrated today was the external data lookup. So we can look up data from a range of external sources, including Microsoft Graph, SQL databases, web services. So that would be a great way of pulling data in from a number of external data sources.
Perfect. Thank you, Peter. I see another question regarding trial license. Yes, we offer a trial license. It's actually 2 weeks. So it's a full license. It's simply time sensitive. So you can contact me and I will help you install the trial license for quiz forms.
So I see we have another question come in from Mark about using an existing Microsoft 365 group to restrict who sees forms and dynamic fields. Yes, it can be done using users or groups. So I think in Sarah's example, she restricted it based on a user, but you can use existing security or Microsoft 365 groups you've got.
Okay, so we'll give another minute or two to see if there are any other questions. And please remember, if you have questions at a later time, feel free to send me an email. It's sarah@quizcom.com. I'll be happy to address any of your questions. Maybe you would like to see some other products, not quiz. Maybe some of our data visualization tools, such as calendar, organization chart. Maybe you'd like to see our scanning solution. So again, send me a quick email and we will gladly arrange that. I think there was a question from Tom. Let's see. I don't see it. I saw something, but Peter, can you see it? Let's see.
I see one more question from George about product licensing, which it is licensed based on the number of users, but that's in sort of bands of users. So Sarah will be able to contact you, or another member of the sales team will be able to contact you after the demo to the webinar today, George, and once you've given us some guidance on the number of users, we can give you some pricing information. And then I've just seen a question come in from David. Is it possible to create a list and have a user assign permissions to a people field, and that field is used as a view when the actual person logs in, so they only see items assigned to them? Yes, we can do that. A good way of doing that, we could either use either some of the specific view permissions, or possibly also using custom actions and activities to set the permissions on the items appropriate. I suggest, David, that we have a separate call and go through your specific scenario, but there's definitely a couple of ways I can think about managing that.
I see a question from Timothy, so I wasn't wrong. Timothy did write a question. Can quiz access S400? I don't think I understand the question, Peter. Do we need some further clarification?
I think we'll need some further clarification, but if I understand your question specifically, it's about accessing a legacy system. Assuming we have a way of
IBM
querying
400, Timothy is clarifying. Sorry, Peter, to interrupt you.
So assuming we have a way of querying that data, then the answer would be yes via our external data lookup column. I see a couple of other questions. William asked about groups that are not in Microsoft Entra ID. Probably need to understand that question in a little bit more detail. We can certainly manage permissions based on SharePoint groups, but we'll probably need to understand from you a little bit more about the groups which you're talking about there. And Katie has asked about pricing for non-profits. Yes, that's certainly something which we can do, and Sarah will discuss what offers we can give for non-profits.
Looks like I was muted. Yes, I will be getting back to everyone who has asked questions, and everybody else. I'll do follow-up email. So yes, I'll be providing you with the pricing, discussing more your specific business requirements. And again, we are happy. We're here for you to do customized demo for you. Peter, have we addressed David's question?
Yes, I think we have. We'll
Okay,
need to maybe have a follow-up session with him just to understand, talk through specifically his use case, but we have, yeah.
Right. Okay, because I think I lost you guys for a quick few seconds. I don't know what I pressed. My screen went blank, so I had to sign in back again. Okay.
And I see Mark's asking about the recording, Sarah.
Absolutely, yes. Everybody will be getting the recording, I think, as part of, after the webinar. Microsoft Teams will be providing the recording, but we will be sending, I'll personally be sending it by email as well to everyone. And I'll also send a link to the product page, so you can read about the product further, read the documentation page for more business use cases, and just to get familiarized with the other features of the product.